plant my tomatoes today in a cold greenhouse. Look at that. Been growing these now for about a good month anyway. I think it's maybe told me from where in the world what date. These were sown on the 14th of March and they've been in a propagator on a very low heat ever since. Hello, for those who follow my channel, you might know that I have a hydroponics growing system in my cold greenhouse. I've been growing hydroponically now for the past 14 years with mostly a really good success rate. The downside to hydroponics is obviously the cost of installation and the care that you need and the knowledge you need as well, to make sure the whole thing works properly. Right, these are the buckets. They're 20 litre plastic buckets filled with about 3 or 4 inches of coarse pebbles on the bottom, and the rest of it is horticultural grit, just to provide anchorage for the roots and to dissipate the fluids around the plant. Right, this is the return tank. This is the tank that holds the nutrients that feed the tomatoes, and in there is a little tiny pump, a little aquarium pump that pumps the water up through all those black pipes that you see that are attached to the woodwork, and they go the full length of the greenhouse. There's a drain cock at the far end just to drain it out if needs be. Right, these tomatoes are indigo rose. As I say, they were planted on the 14th of March. And before I put them in the hydroponics, I get rid of most of the compost off them. Because if we get compost in among all the other supports in that hydroponic bucket, it could cause bacteria to grow for one thing. And might get thrown into the system and clog the roots up, clog up the system. With them having such little tiny holes. So that's it, all washed off now. And I'm going to pop that into the bucket just as this is. I'll show you exactly how I do it. Alright, just for the minute I'll just move that. And I've got some grit here. Sorry if I'm blocking the lens, but this is just grit. And I'm going to pile it around the roots, make sure the tomatoes in the centre of the bucket. Just plain horticultural grit. It's been rinsed under the tap though, in a fine sieve. You need just enough for it to keep the thing supported. It doesn't matter how deep these tomatoes go, they can go as deep as you like, as long as you don't completely bury them. There it is, all nicely supported. I'll just take that out for a second or two, stick it in there. Nice and level. And I've made this is a plant pot, just a split plant pot. There's nothing sophisticated about it at all. And it just goes around there like that. Gathers up the leaves. Stop them getting trapped when I shove the lid on. Like that. So I'll put the lid on there. I don't know if you can see this, so I can't see what's going on at the other end. There we are. Just gently feed them through the hole. Don't want to do too much damage to them. And there we go, that one's ready for tying up now. And we'll tie them up, once they get growing. We've got plenty of supports in this greenhouse. Pop in the irrigation, you can see it's running. Eventually that will be carrying all the nutrients that the tomato needs to make beautiful red tomatoes. I always make sure everything's spotlessly clean as well when I'm working on this stuff. Even the buckets. The bucket I carry things in, the bucket I work with. I don't want any infections of any description. And, Yeah, so there we are, that one. Oh, there's another one in. Gather his leaves up a little bit. That wants a little bit more grit in, does that one? I'll have to go and rinse some more grit. And now we'll replace the rinsed grit, another bucket full. Gently around it. I'm putting it to about an inch and a half of the rim of the bucket. Just lift the leaves out, we don't want them dying and rotting in there. That's it, move it out a tiny bit. Set that out a second. And just ring around it again. This tomato, by the way, is indigo blue. I've never grown this variety before, but we'll see how it goes anyway. If it's as good as Noir de Crimée, it will be absolutely brilliant. And one of the best tomatoes I've ever grown is Noir de Crimée. But I didn't get any seed this year, so obviously not bothering with it. So yeah, pop the irrigation doings back in and off she goes. You need a bucket on these lids, on these buckets, a lid on this bucket for obvious reasons. If you don't put a lid on, they get absolutely thick with algae, which is not good. So at least you can control the algae a little bit if you wanted to. Close that up you could do with a bit of plastic, but I don't bother. Nip that side shoot out while I see it as well, and that one. Ignore what anybody else tells you, you must take the side shoots out. Right, this is the total of my tomatoes for this year. I can't be putting any more in. And that one is indigo blue, indigo rose. That one is Magina, that's an F1 variety, and I guess that's very much like Shirley. Don't know what that one is, mystery one. Indigo blue and indigo rose. And I think that one was indigo blue. But that's it. I've got 3 more hydroponic buckets to fill, but I'm leaving those now until I get cucumbers, and I'm going to get a sweet pepper as well to go in there. Anybody wonders why I've got the kettle is there for boiling water to check any of these little plastic joints. I don't know whether you can see that or not, but yeah, these little joints are just push fit, and hot water is the only way you can get them together, especially with the harder piping. I'll show you the pump used. It's a little MaxiJet pump, MaxiJet 1000, and it's more than adequate for this. If the water gets really scuddy overnight, I'll drain it all out. There's no nutrients in this yet, but I'll drain everything out and fill it again with clean water. It gets rid of all the greyness out of the water, which is the dust from the grit. I prefer it to be clean, so I don't want any nasties getting into the pipe work. This is the device I use to check concentration of nutrients in the water. It's absolutely essential because there is no other way of testing it. It works on electrical conductivity, so the more nutrient there is in the water, the higher that line goes. I generally aim for about midway blue light with my nutrient. And this is a New Zealand device, and you just pop it in the water like that. It's totally waterproof as well, so if you drop it in, it doesn't matter, it'll float. Right, here's the boring bit. This is where we tie them up. What I do, I go underneath the first leaves and just tie slackly around, just tie a slack loop around them so that the stalk itself can grow like that, so it's pulling upwards like that gently. I just take the string just above the wire height. This is the first wire. I've got a wire that's higher. I go around it twice and just tie a loop if I can undo it. So that I just Right, this is how the nutrients come for this hydroponics system. They come as two separate components. One is part A, one is part B. I don't know which part has the nitrogen in it, but one has the nitrogen and the other has the soluble potassium and potash. You cannot mix the two together, otherwise it just destroys them. So you put it in two separate quantities. You don't need a lot in 20 gallons of water. It's quite a small amount really, probably 50 mils in 20 gallons. I don't know, I'll have to do some experiments and see what the correct CF level is in the water when it's added. This one is for coir, which I used last year. I used coir fibre. I thought I'd be really environmentally friendly last year and I'd get coir fibre, and it was a total disaster, an absolute waste of my greenhouse. So I vowed I would never ever use coir fibre again. So this year we're on just plain old grit and pebbles, and hopefully I'll get this used up. There isn't much left in them now, so I'll use those up and get some fresh that's more suited to the grit and this type of system. Sadly I lost the sound at this point, so this is an overdubbed addition to what there should be on the video. This is just a general look at the vegetable garden on the 4th of May. You'll see my parsnips and my peas and red onions and spinach in the distance. And in the foreground there are shallots growing, and the shallots are zebroon. Oh, there we are in the greenhouse again, about a month after these tomatoes were planted. Today is the 2nd of June, and as you can see, growth is abundant. Right, this is the chilli pepper growing again in hydroponics. It's a grafted chilli plant, and the variety is Jamaican yellow. I've never grown grafted plants before. I've always grown my own from seed, and this is new. So we'll see, and we'll show you the results later in the year if it lives. This is a butternut squash, got loads of flowers on it. So we'll see, maybe get half a dozen squashes off there. That was grown from seed. It's now grown in hydroponics in grit. The last one on the line is a cucumber. It's a Burplus Tasty Green F1 variety. It's growing ever so well. When I bought it, it was about 2 inches high, and now it's, I don't know, 3 feet long. Got some fruit on. Hopefully we shall be enjoying those during summer. I had to make some amendments to my hydroponics feed tank. It was starting to buckle at the sides, so I've had to support it with some strips of wood and some metal rods. Hopefully it'll stay intact. I'll just quickly show you the medium that the chilli plant's growing in. You might be able to see the graft on the plant just above the grit. And all these tomatoes and cucumbers, everything else is growing in grit. Nothing else. No compost whatsoever. These are the shallots which I sowed in February and transplanted out, I think it was about the middle of March. They're all growing nicely now anyway. They're The variety is Zebroon. I've had some bad luck with Zebroon over the years. It coming up as onions and all sorts of things. Nothing regular, not like a proper shallot should be. But anyway, we'll give them another chance. A little bit further on there's the red onions. They're growing well. They were grown from sets this year. Again, I don't normally grow from sets, but thought I'd try it. Yeah, this is my parsnip bed. There's 16 parsnips in here, all growing in stations, and hopefully they'll grow and produce roots about a yard long, I hope. They're growing in good compost. A little bit further on there's the carrots, which again I sowed at the beginning of April. This is my pea bed. These are early peas. I can't remember what sort they are now, but they're growing quite lushly, and I've got quite a lot on too. Lots of peas on them. Ready for picking, I guess, in about a fortnight. Strawberries are coming on nicely now, starting to ripen. I guess we'll be eating these in, well, about a good week. Good week to a fortnight, I reckon. You can see them there, hopefully. Beetroot's thriving. This is the monogerm. It's growing a bit funny this year though, it's growing more cylindrical rather than round. Next to them are the spring onions, just 3 bunches there. Can use them anytime. Flower bed's doing nicely. Peonies will be out in about a week, I would imagine. And here at the south end of the greenhouse I've got sweet corn growing. It's going absolutely mad. And there are potatoes in buckets. Got quite a few different varieties of potato this year. I've tried Jazzy for the first time ever. Apparently you get lots of little tiny potatoes, which is ideal for salads. I think these in this nearest bucket are they're like a King Edward potato. Can't remember the variety though, what you get with old age. Lupins are growing well. Those that haven't been eaten with slugs anyway. That's one thing we've had this year, is an absolute plague of slugs. They've eaten anything that's slug eatable. And but we've tried coffee grounds and copper pipe and all sorts to keep them off. We've got no predators, that's the trouble. We've got no hedgehogs and no birds. They've all gone. And I guess it's all down to the fact that so many people around here have got cats. So, and cats don't eat slugs, unfortunately. Right, that's it then now. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Time to cut the grass now.